Recently, I've been thinking about fictional villains a lot and how some are like way better than others, even though they have virtually the same writing. I think at first it's easy to just think, well, the story's better. But the more I thought about it, I kind of came to the idea that all villains kind of exist on this like villain spectrum. I call it the good, the bad, and the boring. I think it'll make more sense if I just explain it. So let's just go ahead and start with the good. So when I say the good, I'm not saying that like they're a good villain. I'm saying that their motives behind being a villain in their mind makes them the good guy. It's kind of like the idea of a good person, bad motives. So this would generally be like people who think that they're helping or don't know what they're doing is wrong. I think that a good example of this could be some iterations of Poison Ivy from DC Comics. Her idea of saving the planet is a good one, but her way of going about it is bad. Same with Mr. Freeze, who's also a Batman villain. What? Then we have the like definitive form of evil, which would be the bad. These are the characters that are based in just kind of like pure chaos and pain. Their motive isn't that they think they're a good person or that they think that what they're doing is the right thing. They're just doing it because they think that that's what they have to do. I think that this is really refreshing to me because it's really common in modern media to have like the villain who used to be like a normal good person, but then eventually like they've just been pushed too far to the edge. And that can be interesting sometimes, but I'm just tired of seeing it over and over and over. Sometimes in a story you just want to see the bad guy. My favorite example of this would be the Lich from Adventure Time. I know, I can't help myself from mentioning Adventure Time. I'm not sorry. He wants to kill all life in all multiverses. And it's not because he has like some grudge, or he hates people, or he thinks that they're undeserving.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
It's just that he understands that that is what he was created to do. He doesn't need motivation beyond that. It's not personal, it's just what he does. No matter who he faces, it's like, you mean nothing to him. Most popular villains recently lie somewhere between these two. The Joker would be much closer to the bad than the good, but it's pretty like commonly accepted that in his origin at one point he was just a normal person, depending on which iteration. But he's definitely a lot closer to the bad than the good. Like, a lot closer. Thanos from the MCU would be like somewhere closer to the middle in between the two, because he thinks what he's doing is good, but he accepts that in order to get something good, he has to do something bad. So it's not like he thinks what he's doing. So it's not like he thinks like what he has to do to get to the good is good. He understands that it's bad. Then we have someone like Killmonger from Black Panther, which is kind of similar to Thanos, but he thinks what he's doing is right, so it justifies doing something wrong. And then we have the final category, which is the boring. These are usually like cartoonishly evil villains with poorly written motive, which I think it's important that I state this isn't to be confused with simple motives, because there's a difference. I think a lot of people get frustrated and confused with the difference between simple writing and bad writing. Something can be written simply and it's still good. Like, just because there's not like much need for an explanation doesn't mean that it's poorly written. Like, sometimes like that's just the way that it is. There's a fine line between a character being so evil that it's awesome and a character being so evil that I just don't care about them. The borings usually have like a huge kind of gray area in their motive. Something's missing because either the writers didn't really care, they just wanted to have a villain, or sometimes it's like for comedic purposes of like, it's just like they just became evil. I think it's important to say that like the villains that are in the category of the boring aren't necessarily unlikable characters, but I think that there are like some really popular villains where their motives for becoming a villain are kind of like, I don't know, kind of feels like they just wanted you to be a villain. It's hard to put a character here because like some of them are from really popular fandom that I prefer not to die. It's hard to put a character here and not feel like really mean. So I'm sure that you can think of a better one like in your head to place in this kind of general area. So I'm just gonna put Enchantress from 2016 Suicide Squad. I understand she has a backstory, but it's like, I don't care. Here's a list of some villains that I put on the chart just for fun. Again, this is my opinion, so if you disagree, that's fine. Here's a copy of the blank chart so that you can like rank your own villains if you want to. It's actually really fun to just kind of think like where would they lie. If you do end up making your own, let me know in the comments where you placed certain characters, or if there's a villain that you're thinking of that isn't on here, let me know where you think that they should go, and maybe we could make like like a huge one.
If you want to talk about it more extensively too, there's a link to the Discord in the description. Wahoo!
Anyway, sorry if this didn't make sense. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.
Hey, yo, I hate to be that guy, but I'm coming in hot with the rice on bottom and the shrimp on